Thank you for all the people who are joining in today. And today we are once again with yet another episode on communication skills. And today we have a special guest. Her name is Suman, and she's a soft skills and communication trainer, a coach with 2 decades of experience. Her expertise lies in coaching senior executives one on one to put them on the path of leadership. She's trained in topics like communication, executive presence, public speaking, assertiveness, and lot more. And you'll get to know also about. So welcome, Suman Care. How are you?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Give it up for Atul Shinde.
And as you know that we keep taking interviews of the special guest on our channel to make sure that you learn something out of it. The only intention is to make you aware about to learn on process. So welcome everyone, and let's get it started. So Suman, first question I want to ask you is, why do you think communication skills are the most important skills in today's fast moving technological era?
You're asking me if it's important. I mean, you tell me.
Yeah.
I have
Why
senior
do you think
managers
so?
with 15, 17 years of experience, so I get
Uh-huh.
stuck. And I think the reason why it's important, especially post pandemic, is
Mm-hmm.
because the kind of communication situations that we get into have become more varied. Earlier, there
Mm-hmm.
was just one default form. You sit in a meeting, people are in front of you, you talk to them. You get into a presentation, people are in front of you, you talk to them. But after the pandemic, it's become even more important because now some people could be in front of you, some people could join in from their homes, or it could be a totally virtual situation where everybody's sitting in their house and their videos are off. So, which is why, as a communicator, as a speaker, or as a leader, team member, it's important for us to become better communicators so that we can hold people's attention and make sure we create the impact. So I think, which is why post pandemic, at least, communication skills have become very important because you're being judged on how good are you on camera, how good are you off camera, and how good are you when probably it's a mixed group. Okay. And the onus of being an effective communicator always lies with the speaker. You can't say, oh, the listener was not interested, so it's not my fault, which is why it's very critical for ourselves to develop those communication skills in ourselves so that no matter what the situation, we're able to create the impact that we want to, which is why communication skills are that much more important in today's times.
Yeah. Technology moving fast. Like nobody is actually going and taking interviews now. People are, making sure that it is on web cameras and all that. Things have really changed. So what do you think
Yeah,
it is? I mean, the
very
base has also
much.
changed or the base remains the same?
What remains the same?
I'm saying that the base of communication has it changed through technology moving faster or is it the same?
The basic, yeah, your voice is
Yeah, the
not
basic.
very clear. I'm really
The
sorry. Maybe you
basic, the
need to
basic.
stop this part from the interview. I'm missing some words. Uh, the basics remain the same.
Hmm.
I think the application of it has changed.
Okay.
For instance, things like structuring your thoughts, your voice modulation, your hand gestures and body language, they all remain the same. But now we need to see how we can use that to suit an online medium.
Hmm.
Because on camera, I'm just this. Now, how do I make sure that this portion has all the impact to keep my listener engaged? Similarly, with voice, when people are sitting in front of us, we don't really have to make that much of an effort because it might seem like I'm shouting. But when we are on camera, it's important for us to be able to project our voice so that no matter who's sitting where, we're able to draw them into the conversation or the presentation. So while the basics remain the same, the application of how we use them in order to improve our impact, that is the main thing that has changed.
I mean, that is the expecting thing, guys, because if she's saying the application that you need to master, because the base remains the same, but still need to, get into learning of the mastering of the application type
Yep.
process, right? So, next question, how skilled professionals should improve their communication skills? Can you please share some tips with us?
For working professionals,
Mhm.
if you are at the beginner level, I think it's important to just be a student of communication.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we are not taught communication formally in school or in college or even on the job. People will give you like an email training, they'll probably give you like a customer service training. Nobody really gives you a formal, structured way of understanding communication. So if you've just started out, say 0 to 5 years of experience, it's very critical for you to work on your basics at this point in time. Watch videos, read books, take up maybe free courses, and understand what are the basics of effective communication, like some of the things that I already mentioned: structuring your thoughts, being able to deliver them with a great voice, using your hand gestures. Okay, so I think that's a time when one should really work on the basics. Set a maybe quarterly goal and say, I'm going to do one tiny course every month, and I'm going to read one book maybe every 15 days, like 2 books a month, to make sure that you understand how language works and how delivery works. Watch TED Talks, to understand how great communication looks on stage. 5 to 10 years of experience, I think people should have mastered the basics, because that is the time when you're getting into the mid managerial level. And if your email writing skills fall short, if you're not able to articulate what you want to say, that kind of becomes a little hard for you to move up. 10 years plus, I think as a coach, I would say it's very important for you to find a coach, because it's a coach who can give you customized feedback and tell you, are you applying the basics right? There's no need to get a coach when you're doing your basics. You can read, you can watch, you can learn all those things, but how much have you mastered? I think working with a coach really works beautifully, because you need to understand that with 10, 12, 15 years of experience, you're at a point where you need that extra edge. You need to be able to stand out amongst your peers. And in my experience, when I do one-on-one coaching with my clients, it is this that really makes them stand out. And we get beautiful results even within a month, 2 months, where they say, you know what, I'm actually getting noticed because of the way I start my presentation, I ask questions, I bring people in. So simple things like this make a huge impact. But these are things that you can't learn from courses, because this is advanced. Okay. So I think based on which part of your career you are in, it's important for us to make sure that we continue working on it, make sure, find resources to learn that in a structured way. Because without soft skills and communication, in my experience, you reach a point and then you just stay there. And at the leadership level, communication is super important.
That's perfectly fine because I've seen my students struggling with the base as well. I mean, a lot of my students, get into the problem of presentation skills, probably like 16, 17 years of education they get, but at the end of the day, when it comes to presenting themselves in front of people, that's where the situation lacks.
Yeah, we're not taught to do that in school or college.
Yeah. I don't know why. We should actually include that in syllabus.
Hopefully, because it's become critical even for college kids, not even after college. Now, even in college, you're supposed to be doing virtual interviews.
Yeah.
It's no longer the face to face that everybody's been teaching for so many years, right? So
Mhm.
I think, which is exactly what I meant by application. Interviews remain the same, but if it is on camera, how do you make your best impact so you get the job? So, yeah, things are changing even for students.
Well, let's move to another one. Is which books do you recommend to improve the skills?
Sorry, your voice is.
Which books do you recommend reading to improve the skills?
Oh, the books. Okay, there are two ways of looking at it. If you want to work on your language and your articulation and your vocabulary, read fiction, because I know a lot of
Mhm.
people are not big fiction fans. If you want
Mhm.
to learn about developing communication and your public speaking and presentation, read non-fiction books on those topics. Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
So, which is why I said when people are learning the basics, become a student. Set time out for an hour every day and say, boss, I'm going to read, I'm going to watch something, I'm going to practice speaking. Okay. Which is
Mhm.
a kind of system that I set for my one on one clients. Like session one, this is one thing that we set. And I'm like, pick an hour. I will message you and ask you, did you do it? Because it's a skill. You can't just watch cookery shows and become a chef. You've got to get into the kitchen. You've got to burn stuff. You've got to
Mhm.
burn your hands, maybe,
That's true.
go through the whole curve. And then probably you're going to be like, yeah, I think I'm comfortable with these things, but I still need to work on those things. Okay. But imagine not getting into the kitchen even for a single day and saying, hey, I know all of Italian cooking, but can you really cook? Okay.
Mhm.
So, which is why, same thing with skills. You need to find 1 hour every day and make sure that you get that reading in. It could be 20 minutes in the morning, it could be 20 minutes before you go to sleep, whatever it is. Now, what books can we read? When it comes to fiction, you could pick up simple things like short stories. I'm not saying you need to read big fat novels. There are short stories from all the best authors in the world. Start with Jeffrey Archer, very simple, very easy to understand. And reading fiction gives you a whole different level of vocabulary, which ultimately helps you in articulation. And I've done this with my clients. Some of them have a lot of solid business speak. So I tell them, please read fiction. So, descriptions, emotional words. Okay. And then for actually learning skills, number one would be TED Talks by Chris Anderson, because that is the book on public speaking. In fact, I usually have all my favorites right here. In fact, I'm doing a rereading challenge in January. So this is the book that I'm going to start rereading. I use a lot of tips from this book, but of course, over the years, you tend to stick to a few of those and forget the rest. Okay. So if you want to read, so this is the official TED guide to public speaking. Even if you don't do public speaking, there are so many tips in this book where you can go ahead and figure out how to start, how to end, how not to end, how do you use props or narration or visuals. Okay. It covers so many different things. So if you read one chapter a day, try and see how you can apply it. You're straight away working on educating yourself. This book is like, I don't know, $300 or something, but that is truly your first teacher when it comes to learning the basics of what public speaking is all about. If you want to learn more about, say, executive presence, here is a textbook. You don't need to read any other book. Just read Executive Presence by Sylvia Ann Hewlett, because it is not her experience, but she's got 3,000 industry leaders to answer a lot of questionnaires and say which of the characteristics of executive presence are important in leaders. Okay, so there you go. If you learn this beforehand, you have a head start. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie is a great book for students and for people who are still learning the basics, where you understand the importance of speaking, the importance of listening. There's a whole chapter on listening. Okay, so that kind of gets your basics done. So I think if you start with these few basics, okay, it's a great start.
Excellent. So we'll have it, link in the bio description for the books to read, because I guess reading books actually enhances your vocabulary. That's true, as you mentioned too. And, you can, if you start utilizing these thoughts, it starts processing in your head better. Right. So basically, we'll have it in the link bio for people who are watching.
Yeah,
They're
in fact,
actually
I'll send you
watching that.
more books because there are quite a few other books that I recommend. So I'll probably send you the whole list.
Yes, please do that. Our
Yeah,
viewers will
I'll
be
do
so
that.
happy. Yes, thank you. Thank
Sure,
you so
sure.
much. So much.
And if they're young professionals and students who are starting out, I think these are the books that they should really start with, because these are like textbooks in their fields. You don't need to read any other book. You just understand the concept reading them.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. So let's moving on to another question here. So, should you think about your views on preparing for an online interview, and what are the latest company standards for evaluating those?
I think the first thing to prepare for an online interview is get comfortable with the camera. People get very conscious because they're like, okay, I can see myself on camera. And from a physical space perspective, I'm just sitting here. The interviewer can't see the whole of me. Okay, so just get comfortable with the camera. The
Mhm.
second most important thing would be make sure that you find a way to prop your camera at eye level. Now, or it could be a laptop. So you kind of stack books and bring it to your eye level, because confidence starts with your posture, and there is science to prove it. And here is the book that proves that science. Okay. Confidence comes from posture. And more often than not, people will have their laptop and they'll be looking down at it. Okay, so here is my laptop in front of me, and if I were to look at the camera, okay, I'm forever looking down. So my shoulders are going to go down and my posture
No,
is
no,
going to go
correct.
down. Okay,
Yes.
automatically your confidence will go down. And when I'm looking at you as an interviewer on camera, I don't think you're confident because I can only see that much of you.
That's true. Correct.
Okay. So I think the most important thing is make sure that your camera is at the eye level to make sure that it just automatically gets you to sit up. Look into the camera and project confidence. From there, I think things just become easier because it's just a question and answer process. It's just the format that has changed. Okay. And the third most important thing is how do you have virtual presence on camera? First of all, look into the camera. And since it's at eye level, you're sitting straight. Project your voice. When we speak in person, it's different from when we speak on camera. So learn to project your voice. That's important. Bring your hands into the frame to make sure that there is some kind of animation on screen. If you're using your hand gestures here, nobody can really see. Okay, something's happening, but the interviewer can still see a talking head. That's it. But the moment you bring it in and you say, do this and you do that, it just takes your effectiveness to a different level where you become like a live person on camera. Okay. So number one, get comfortable on camera. Number two, set your camera in such a way that it's at your eye level. Number three, learn how to speak on camera, which is voice projection, hand gestures, and look into the camera when you talk to your interviewer.
Then that's a wonderful tip that you mentioned. Actually, looking at the camera and speak. So that's a camera confidence build up. It happens. So basically, that will happen through practice, I guess. So people should start doing it quite often.
Yeah,
And
in
also,
fact, do a
people
lot
are
of mock interviews. Sorry.
Those people should generally talking with the selfie hand, like they have a camera above their hand and they're not talking like that. So basically, uh, you know, well, looking at so much talking. So basically, it just reflects from the fact that you're not looking at the person and speaking. If you look into the lens of the camera and speak, then it shows that you're paying attention to the speaker rather than
Yes,
looking down
yes.
somewhere. Right?
Yeah, yeah. And I agree that I think youngsters today are a lot more camera friendly because they're
Yes.
taking selfies left, right, center. However, I feel when it comes to an interview, it's a more formal and a more serious kind of a setup, which is why it's important for them to learn how to project that professionalism on
Mm-hmm.
cameras. You can't just hold your camera, and just say, oh, okay, I'm just going to stand here. Your background is important. You just can't sit anywhere and do it. It needs to be quiet. Like there are so many things to take care of, but I figured just start with the top three, because if your frame isn't professional, it distracts the interviewer. Okay. And assuming that you just have that box for those people to judge you, you better make the most of whatever you can in that box, which is why if your camera is taken care of at eye level, then your hands are free to project confidence, use your hand gestures, etc. If you're worried about, is your laptop okay, am I looking too low, it doesn't work. Then it just
Yes, that's right.
distracts you, and that shows in your answers because you're
Mhm.
not really focusing.
Right, that's true. And what kind of evaluation that you people do on, like basically, whenever you interview someone, for a job or a profile, so basically, what are your evaluation criteria so that my viewers can know that they should not make these kind of mistakes?
So I don't officially interview a lot of people. However, if you look at the recent trends, the trend is more towards the attitude that people bring and not really your qualifications. A lot of
Okay.
people understand now that everybody doesn't need to be an MBA. And I hire people for my business, keeping in mind, do they have a learning attitude? Do they have an open mindset to work in a startup, where I may not have a list of job responsibilities and say, you do this and someone else does that. You need to really have that initiative. I think for me, that is the number one thing that I look at. You may have done whatever in your college, in your studies, but how much of an initiative do you have? Are you like, I just need six things that I'm going to do and that's it? Okay. So the attitude of learning, I think, is one of the most important criteria. If you're looking at resumes and the whole application tracking system, ATS, then that's a whole different thing. You need to know what are the keywords that you want to be shown up for if you're applying for big organizations. However, I think attitude is one thing that I can safely say that people are hiring for, because everybody has the same technical skills. But
That's
when
true.
an interviewer talks to you, what is that special thing that you bring in that makes you stand out? So I think standing out is big today rather than fitting in. Most people say, what is the right answer for this? What are the kind of questions that they ask, and what are the
Yeah,
answers that they're looking for? No, they're not looking for any answer. It's just how you bring your own personality into it. If you sound like everybody else, why would they pick you?
that's true.
Okay. So what
Completely
is it
true.
that makes you unique? What is it that you bring to the table? I think that is the most important evaluation criteria that one should consider when thinking about their answers.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for this. This is like students come and ask me like so basically give us a sheet, give us questions, what you're gonna answer, and how things are going to be like. Give me one, two, three, four, five questions, and template kind of things. Now people are moving into like give us a template of a resume, give us a template of a personal interview, and and we prepare for that, and then they go for the interview, and then they say that I asked one question, but still I didn't get selected. So maybe something happened there, right?
Yeah, if we all sound like each other, how will they know you being different from someone else? Right. So I think I really look for that spark, that individual, this thing that says, oh, okay, I think this person gets it. Right. So because nowadays being an employee is not just being an employee. Companies want you to think like an entrepreneur. They want you to bring that entrepreneurial spirit and say, hey, what else can we do? How can we think outside the box? Don't just color within the lines and see, what is the kind of innovation that we can bring in. And more than ever, there is no age to do that. No one's going to say, hey, you're just 25, so just stick to the brief. No, I mean, kids have a lot more exposure today, and we should actually be using all their ideas. But do you have ideas that you bring to the table and say, hey, you know what, these are a few things that I've thought out of the box? Boom, there you go. I mean, you immediately stand out. Nobody can forget that. So if the HR has spoken to 30 people and you stand out because of your ideas, boom, the others are all immediately rejected for sure because they sounded like each other's clones. So don't think of the right answer. Think about what is the right answer for you. So I think that's how I'd look at it.
100% correct. So the last question, is any situation to describe which were challenging for you, and how did you overcome those?
I think running a business is a challenge, that comes up with new things every single day.
Mhm.
And for me, in terms of what I do, I think the biggest challenge is the coaching industry in India is not as mature as it is in other countries. The pandemic helped because people realized, hey, I can get coached on Zoom. I don't have to personally be in a class. However, the kind of expertise and the customization that I bring in, it's a challenge to make people understand how it's exactly going to help their growth. So I think that challenge is always there. New ways of writing content, new ways of creating that impact on LinkedIn, new ways of ensuring that people understand the importance of how, if they don't get coached and get that personal edge, they are not moving ahead. I think in 2023, that is the biggest challenge that I have overcome. And I chose to do that by working with a business coach who kind of helped me streamline my processes, learn a lot about sales processes, questioning and answering and handling objections, because I think all of us need upskilling. And I'm being upfront about it. All of us need upskilling. While I'm an expert in my field of communication, How would you turn that into a sales proposition, handle people, talk to them? Numbers. Oh my God, I hate numbers, but being friends with numbers, okay, like projections, right? So I think in that sense, I learned a lot this year. And I think overcoming challenges is a status quo in entrepreneurship. But this is one big thing that I overcame this year, to be more comfortable with numbers and the business part of what I do. So yeah, I think when in doubt, get a coach, upskill, learn new things. There is there
100%.
there are answers out there for everything. Just be a student and be open minded.
That's true. I really recommend this because sometimes what happens is people try to learn by themselves, and usually in my classes also I tell people that these people try to learn English or communication from an English movie. They go and watch some kind of an web series, or they'll watch something, and they say that, oh, I want to improve, by looking at the screen. So basically, the director of the movie has not made the movie for you to get trained on communication, right? So I believe that this is completely situation level, because you need to have a mentor in a person like Suman Kher, and she was really renowned when it comes to communication skills, and she is still trained by
To
someone.
some to some extent, watching English movies work when you're in your 0 to 5 years phase.
Yeah,
Like I've run my business for 9 years now, and since when I started in 2014, the world has completely changed. I did join different communities. There are so many coaches and mentors online, even on LinkedIn, who give out their blueprint because they want to help others do it. But like I
correct.
said, beyond a point, you need that customized expertise to say, here is where I'm stuck,
That's true.
and nobody else's generic advice is helping me. Same thing with communication. You have tons of courses online, but beyond a point, if you still feel, hey, I'm not moving ahead, it's because the course cannot tell you where you're stuck. That only a human can do. So beyond a point, it's important to go out there and see, artificial intelligence is there, but I still believe human intelligence will always beat artificial intelligence, because that
Yes,
emotional quotient that we bring in, there
that's
are a
true.
lot of apps now which give you feedback on your speaking, filler words, pace, rate of speech, voice. But I'm sorry, but still, there will always be scope for human intervention, which can say,
Yes.
hey, the app missed these things, and this is what you need to work on. So,
Yeah, I know
yeah.
people have actually tried a lot of things. Like, you go into any bank app, or you probably try to do something, on a physical basis. But sometimes you have those kind of demo chats which comes up. Try to resolve your
Oh,
issue
God,
by chatting
they
with
are
you. But you
bad.
get frustrated, and you need a human to talk to at the end of the day. Right? So
They
it's
are
like
bad.
trying really hard to try to put Alexa, try to do something, artificially. Still, I don't think so. It is happening with the technology moving forward. There's still no human. We need people to talk to us, to understand our
Yeah,
emotions,
absolutely.
and to
Yep. In
formulate
fact,
things accordingly.
I'm dealing with a couple of things with Razorpay and my bank. And the most common sentence I find myself using is, can I speak to a human? Like, literally, can I speak to a human? I can tell you what my problem is. My problem is not among the options that you're giving me. So
Options
I need a
available.
human to talk to. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I totally agree with this. So here we go. So we can connect with you, someone on social media. Where to find you on social media? How are you
I
promoting
think
yourself?
LinkedIn is the best place to find me. Better still, if people Google me, then they can see my LinkedIn, my blog, my
Hmm.
YouTube, and wherever else I am. But LinkedIn DM is one of the best places to find me. Even on my blog now, on my website, there is a direct number to my WhatsApp chat. People can explore that as well. And I'm hands on, like I'm everywhere. So it's not like, hey, it's holiday time, so I don't know if he's available. I'm available all the time. So just
Correct.
ping me on LinkedIn, and I'm going to immediately get back to you.
100%. And thank you so much, Suman, for being here. I know it was quick. Couple of questions I want to ask you related to this, because I know I didn't want to extend it for the viewers as well, because I want to keep it short and crisp. I believe the perception that you have in the mind that when it comes to coaching industry, that people need mentors, and mentors like someone who's doing really good for the humanity as well, because people are getting trained under her, and she's actually devoting 100% when it comes to upgrading the skills and leaderships, and processing this particular information to the world as well. So a lot of things to learn from her. You can find it on social media, links and everything will be posted with the bio itself.
I'll check.
And I'm going to get some positive response from all of you guys who are watching this here. Make sure that you comment on this particular channel and you like and subscribe it for us to give you this kind of awareness and help you grow in life. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Suman.
Thank you.